They said it was impossible, that it could never be done. A sorter for every non-stackable item in the game in a singular compact build. From boats to buckets to tridents to snow to swords, it is impossible. Until now. And lo and behold, here is the impossible item sorter. Welcome back, Builders of Red, to another Minecraft Bedrock tutorial, and yes, today I have the version 2 of an impossible item sorter. Now, what I mean by impossible is it sorts more than any non-stackable item sorter has ever been able to before. Now, if you have no clue what a non-stackable item is, have no fear, it is exactly like what it sounds like. If you have some sort of item that cannot be stacked to 64 or 16, it is a non-stackable item. So that's all your armor, boats, buckets, you got your flint and steel, shears, tridents, records, minecarts, horse armor, you got all your books, all your potions, all your banners, and believe it or not, I probably have missed some of them as well. Now, with that many different items, you would think that Mojang would have made a way for us to sort them out relatively easy, but they are not quite that easy to sort out. As you can see from this system, there is a lot of stuff that goes in behind sorting all these different items out. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't some you can't sort. For example, like beds and enchanted books. You can't sort these apart from each other. Minecraft just simply isn't capable of doing that quite yet. Now, in 1.19 with delay, there is a chance this might change, but for now, these items we're just going to keep in the back of our brain that we cannot sort. Now, there are other variations. For example, armor and tools. We can't sort all our diamond boots from all our other different types of boots or different types of armor. We can't sort our different potions from each other, so I can't sort all my lingering from my splash automatically, and I can't sort all my different minecarts or all my different types of boats apart, and other things like that we just simply can't do with a redstone we have at hand. But what we can do is sort over 14 types of items in a small 17 block area. Now, how this system behind me works is a bit more complicated, but I'm going to break it down for you just in case you have any questions or you need to do any problem solving. This is how the basic sorting systems work. Now, we're going to start all the way here at the beginning, which is where we have a chest full of all our non-stackables. We're going to take that all the way up to the top and just chucking it up here. The entire system's going to kick into action. Now, right up here at the top, I have a simple stackable or non-stackable item filter that is reliable for Minecraft Bedrock, and I have upgraded it to make it even smaller, and so that will sort out all our different stackable items from our non-stackable items, which means basically this can be the beginning or the end of your sorting system, because this first part right here works at hopper speed, which basically means it works really fast. Now, as for how we're able to sort out our shulker boxes, this is done a bit differently. Shulker boxes cannot be placed inside shulker boxes because that would create an infinite storage loop, which Mojang decided they didn't want us to have. But because of that, we are able to use simply, if the item doesn't go in the shulker box, in a certain amount of time, the hopper below it will unlock, allowing all the shulker boxes to fall through. Now, the shulker box behind me does more than just sort out the shulker boxes. It is also a holding chamber until the rest of the system is ready for more items. The reason is this first part of the system can happen really fast, but the rest of the part, for example, sorting out all our buckets and different types of items and axolotls, takes a bit more time and cannot happen at hopper speed. If the items came through too fast, then the system would not sort it out reliably, or it just simply could not sort it out at all. So that's what this shulker box is here for. It is holding all the items hostage until we are ready for them using this long green clock right here. Now, this does mean, though, that if you throw in more than 27 non-stackable items in at a time, and the shulker box overflows, your other non-stackable items will flow down here in the shulker box chest automatically. They shouldn't go here, of course, but it's just because the shulker box temporarily overflowed. So if you really wanted to, and all your items you're throwing in are not shulker boxes, just plug in a hopper line right here, and that way you can have a whole bunch of items ready to be queued up into the system to therefore be sorted very soon. Now, from here, this piston extends and allows one item to go into this hopper. It will check to see whether it can go in the brewing stand, and if it can, that is how it knows that it is a potion. Now, if it doesn't go in the brewing stand, it'll come all the way around into this Trident sorter. Now this Trident sorter uses a special mechanic I discovered just a couple weeks ago, and I made a video on it, so if you want to just sort out Tridents, then I highly recommend you check this video out, because it is a very interesting tutorial, and the Trident sorter not only sorts out Tridents, but also Flint and Steel, which I explain in greater detail in that video. But in short, whenever the Trident is fired, it will hit one of these two target blocks, and all you have to do is walk up to the system, you will pick it up, you simply press a button, and that'll turn off that light, let you know there's no more Tridents in the system, and then you can manually put it in the barrel. This you do have to do manually, and with you walking up and picking up the Trident is the closest we can get to completely automatically sorting the Trident, so it really is more semi-automatically, but if you really don't want to deal with having to come over here whenever there's a Trident fired, then just sort out your Tridents manually. It doesn't take that much more effort, and this way if you accidentally throw in a Trident, you know when it comes in, and all you have to do is simply walk up and press a button, which honestly, I find a lot easier than having to go manually put my Trident in my chest, because, you know, I'm pretty lazy in that way. Now, due to the mechanics of the Trident sorter, we actually are able to split up the items in two different paths. We have all items over here to the right, and then we have our Flint and Steel and Shears here to our left. So underneath our stackable and non-stackable item sorter, we have this cyan circuit here, which is our Shears and Flint and Steel circuit. Now, if a Shears goes into this dispenser, it will fire, but the observer cannot detect it, so it's just going to go into its normal spot. But when the Flint and Steel goes, you can see the observer actually detects the Flint and Steel getting fired off, even though the fire was not actually placed. And because of that, using that signal, we are able to put the Flint and Steel in the first chest, and the Shears will just go automatically to the second chest. Now, the Flint and Steel will take one bit of damage, but that is required in order to actually sort them out from each other. So now that we've gotten some of the more irritating or difficult items sorted out, we can now work on the buckets. Now, don't take me wrong, buckets are a pain. They are very difficult, but these items must be removed first in order for this bucket sorter to work properly. So don't hijack the system and throw all your items into this hopper, because if you throw any of these items in before, especially a Trident, Flint and Steel, or Shears, then you can severely break this system. Anyhow, so the bucket sorter, how does it work? You throw in a bucket and it will sort it out very quickly. You can see powder snow will get pulled to the side, pulled down, and then picked back up in the bucket, and then put it in this large chest. Lava is simply just dispensed right here, and it doesn't give quite enough time to flow to this observer, so it detects nothing. It goes in this chest, and water, it has plenty of time to flow, so that means the observer will detect it, lock hoppers at precise timing, allowing the water bucket to end up down here. Now, the big upgrade to this system to my old system is the fact that it will sort out your axolotls down here. So if I'm to throw in a bucket of axolotl, you'll see that the axolotl will fall straight down into this little chamber. The water bucket will get sorted into this chest, and then all you have to do is simply pick up your axolotl anytime you want to take them back again. Now, this system here works very well with axolotls. I have found no death rates with them. Even if they get pushed off to the side, their AI will say, hey, there's water down there, let's stop ourselves from dying, and they end up saving themselves. But if you are to do anything else, for example, with any of the other bucket types for cod, salmon, tropical fish, or pufferfish, one, they don't always go straight down, sometimes they'll flop around, and two, you can see there, the axolotls are predators, so they will end up killing your fishies. So if you are to throw in all your tropical fish, one, your tropical fish might not always flow straight down, meaning they might end up dying by accident because their AI sucks. But if you have any axolotls in here, then, well, they're going to end up dying anyway because their job is to kill their fishy friends. So you might wonder why I even bother putting in this center column. After all, it does make things a bit more challenging and difficult for the redstone end, but the reason this is here to begin with is, let's say you accidentally throw in your bucket of axolotl into your input chest. Well, unless you're fast, oh my, you lost your bucket of axolotl, and you're not going to find that ever again. And in any other system, that bucket of axolotl will get dispensed somewhere around back. You could not find it, and it would end up dying on you, and you would lose your fishy friend. Which is why I've added this system. This is basically a fail-safe system. If you accidentally put in your bucket of fish, then you will know, surely enough, it will get dispensed out here, and then you can pick it back up and take that fish to safety. I would not recommend using this as just your fish sorter altogether. Number one, the axolotls will kill it, and most fish end up flopping around and don't go straight down, so there is a slight fish death rate. The only fish I would even consider using this sorter for, which would be the axolotl, because their hitbox and AI finding makes them a little bit less prone to dying, and they will typically just stay and chill in that water till you are ready to pick them back up again. Now, I would say that's enough fishy talk. It is time to look at the final 4 chests of our system, and that is our boat sorter, we have our minecart sorter, our record sorter, and then our final output chest. Now, the boats and minecarts are all done with simply a cactus, destroying them whenever the minecart is dispensed on a rail, or the boat whenever the boat is dispensed in water. And if any other item comes in, the water's pushing the item down into the hopper, where it will then be taken to this record sorter. Now, the reason this record sorter is here at the end is because in order to sort records out, you have to listen to the entire song, which I honestly find pretty annoying. So if you have no records, this shouldn't cause any issues, and if you really wanted to, you could just eliminate this final slice altogether. But if you have any records that do go through the system, then the system would lock all incoming items into this chest until the record is completely done playing. The record will end up in this right chest, and then all other items will come straight down and into this left chest over here. And you can see here's where all our non-stackable items are. Now, if you are like me and you want to sort things even further than this, then there is 1 or 2 other things you can do. I am going to end the tutorial at this point, but I have made an armor and tool sorter that's semi-automatic. All you have to do is simply stand here with a bunch of armor stands, and the system will take care of the rest, dispensing the armor onto the armor stands, or if it's not armor or tools, it'll go into this chest over here. So we can sort all our books, totems, saddles, our spyglasses, horse armor, from all our other weapons, tools, fishing rods, crossbows, and that is simply a nice, easy system addition if you want to upgrade your sorting system even more. Now, if you are crazy and you have a bunch of records and this one singular double chest is not enough to sort all your record needs, then I have made a complete record sorter that'll sort all the different records in the game. So if you want to make one of those and add that to the system, you're welcome to it. But if you've gotten that many records, I honestly want to know what you have been doing with your life. You are crazy, you are a madman, and I admire everything you do in life. Now, the reason I am so pumped and so excited about this sorter behind me is just with how compact I managed to get it. In this entire sorter, you can see I only have 3 dead spots where I have no new items being sorted out. And if you come to the back, you can see the entire thing is only 6 wide. And then you have your double chest out here in the front, which these, you technically don't need these front areas. And then from these double chests, you can have hopper lines taking them wherever you want in your base sorting system or wherever you want the items to go. So the last couple weeks, I've been working on this basically non-stop. If you're ever wondering what I'm up to, you might as well follow me on Twitter, because I will give periodically updates on new videos and ideas I've come up with. So, check me out there. And also, if you made it this far in the video, give the video a like and subscribe. It helps the video out a ton. And Materialist and World Download is in the description, so check that out. Have fun getting all the materials. But with that, let's start the tutorial. Now, because the system is so massive, I have bookmarks down below, so if just one part doesn't work for you, then just go down there to that one item, and then hopefully by rewatching that part of the tutorial, you can fix it and your system should work properly. Now, this entire system is going to be 17 blocks long, it's going to be 7 blocks deep, and it's going to be 8 blocks tall, with 2 of those blocks being underneath your floor level where you should walk. Now, I went ahead and placed out a chest layout just so we get an idea for scale. So I have 5 double chests right here. I have 3 blocks of empty space. Then 1 block set back. I have another double chest. An empty block here for where we're going to have our fishies. And then we have 2 more double chests set back. And then we have 4 more double chests set forward. And at the end, it should look like this. And that entire stretch should be 17 blocks, counting this block right here. Now, we are going to start by sorting out all our stackable items, so we have fewer items to work with, and then we're also going to sort out all our shulker boxes. So we are simply going to come up from these chests. We're going to go 1 hopper straight down. I'm going to put a barrel here. You can have a barrel, chest, hopper, whatever. This is just in order to save a bit on iron, so we have fewer hoppers. And then we're going to have 2 hoppers here, and then I'm going to put a temporary block here. We're going to have 2 hoppers go straight into this temporary block. And then we are going to replace that temporary block with a shulker box. And then you can break the block right underneath that shulker box. Next, we're going to come all the way around to the back side. I'm going to place 2 solid blocks right here. We're going to have a comparator, and then this comparator is going to be going straight into a block with a glass block below and then a solid block above with a redstone dust on both. Then we're going to have 3 more solid blocks right here. So 1, 2, go up 1 for 3, and we'll have redstone dust on all of this. And then we are going to have 2 more solid blocks. So 1 solid block there, another one here. Comparator on subtract mode. We'll have a furnace here. And in this furnace, you're going to have 28 junk items you don't care about. You will never see these again. Then we're going to have 2 more solid blocks right here. We're going to have a comparator on subtract mode. We'll have a solid block right here with another comparator. And we'll have a furnace right here. And this furnace also needs 28 junk items you do not care about. And then from here, we're going to have a redstone torch. 2 solid blocks here. We'll have a repeater on 4 ticks. And then some redstone dust. And just like that, your first part of your system is all done. Now if I'm to grab any of these items, so for example redstone dust, I throw it in, that will go down into this chest. If I'm to grab a shulker box, that shulker box is going to it's going to actually get stuck in this hopper, but the second shulker box I send will end up making its way all the way down here into the chest. And if I'm to grab any other item, it should make its way all the way over into this shulker box. So to make the rest of this tutorial much easier, I'm going to start at the bottom layers and start making way back up. So I'm going to first skip our potion, flint and steel, and shears sorter. And I'm going to actually start with our trident sorter. So I'm going to have 2 droppers right here. I'll have dropper facing straight down, temporary block with a dropper facing straight up. And then we can have any random block in the top dropper. It doesn't matter what item it is, as long as you have one of them. And then on the other side, we're going to have 2 target blocks right here. Temporary block, and then right here we'll have a dispenser. Now coming around to the other side, we're going to come 2 blocks to the right, have another dispenser. We'll have 2 hoppers going into that dispenser, and then we're going to have an upward facing dropper right here with a hopper going into this dropper. Now focusing on this center dispenser, we're going to have a temporary block here with a sticky piston facing out. Then we'll have another solid block here with a comparator going straight into a block. Off to the side we'll have a glass block. And then we'll have a dropper and observer facing into this dropper. And then we'll have a repeater here on 3 ticks going into a solid block with a redstone dust on top and redstone dust on top of the glass block. Next, we're going to come around to the other side. Attached to this piston, we will have a redstone torch. Repeater here on 3 ticks going into a solid block. This is to the right. Then to the left, we're going to have a glass block with a repeater on 2 ticks going straight into a block with a redstone torch, redstone dust, and then a block to break those 2 bits of redstone dust apart, target block, and then we'll have a repeater right here on 1 tick. Then we're going to come straight down, and then right here we are going to have a redstone dust. That's going to connect to a redstone torch. Then we're going to come out 1 block and down 1. This is going to be our lowest block of the entire system. And then we're going to have a bit of redstone dust, target block to the side. Then we'll place a redstone torch, and then we'll have a solid block here. And then if we come around all the way to the side, right here, we are going to need to place a repeater, and this repeater needs to be on 3 ticks. Now that we have finished the Trident sorter, we are now going to work on the Flint and Steel and Shears sorter. So I'm simply going to come straight back from these chests, come straight down, and then right here we're going to have 2 or 4 droppers. We're going to have 2 droppers going directly up into both these chests. So I'm going to have 2 going into the Shears and 2 going into the Flint and Steel chest. Next, I'll have a barrel right on the top left dropper, a hopper going into that barrel, and then 2 hoppers below both of these going directly into the droppers, just like that. Next, I'm going to break my temporary blocks and come up, and then I'll have 1 hopper going directly from the dispenser to the top hopper. Then I'm going to get some solid blocks. I'm going to come out 2 solid blocks up like this. I'll have a comparator with a redstone torch on the side. Come around to the other side, we'll have a sticky piston with an observer facing directly out. So this way, whenever the piston is fired, the observer is going to activate the dispenser. Then we're going to come up 1 block from this torch. We will have a repeater on 1 tick, go into a solid block with a redstone torch, come out 2 blocks right here. We'll have a bit of redstone dust right on top of this block. It will come down 1 more block with a bit more redstone dust. And then on the side of this block right here, we're going to have a redstone torch. Next, I'm going to grab my observers. I'm going to have 1 observer right here with its face facing towards the dispenser. So anytime a flint and steel tries to place fire, the observer detects that. And that's going to go straight into a repeater that's going to be sitting right on top of a target block. And this repeater needs to be on 2 ticks. That'll go onto a solid block. Right underneath it, we will have a bit of redstone dust. Then right here, I'm going to have an immovable object, so obsidian, and then I'm going to have a normal piston facing in right like this. Now on the side of this piston, we are going to need a bit of redstone torch action. Now on this piston, we're going to need a redstone torch action. Now on the side of this, Now on this piston, we're going to need a bit of redstone torch action. I'm going to come up from underneath, and then we're going to need to have 2 repeaters here. 1 repeater on 4 ticks, and then 1 repeater right here on 2 ticks. That's going to go straight into a block, and to the side of that, we'll have a bit of redstone dust right here. Then we are going to come off to the side of this redstone torch. We'll have a bit of redstone dust right here. And then from this redstone dust, we'll come down to the side. We'll have a repeater here on 4 ticks. I'll go into a solid block. Come down 1 block here. We'll have a bit of redstone dust. Then I'm going to have a dropper. And then I'll have 2 observers go straight in. And then I'll have a solid block, a repeater right here on 2 ticks. And then I'll have another observer facing directly in. And then with those observers, that is going to activate our tiny item elevators to elevate the flint and steel and shears up into these chests whenever they are done being sorted down below. Now we're finally going to make our way all the way back to the 3rd chest, which is the potion sorter. So how we're going to do this is we're going to have a hopper going straight up with a barrel right on top of that. We'll have a hopper going in the side of that barrel, and then 1 more going into that hopper. We'll have a brewing stand right here, a hopper facing directly into that brewing stand, and then we're going to have a hopper chain going from straight down in the dispenser to right underneath where this hopper is. So just like that. So next we're going to place a sticky piston facing directly inwards, a redstone lamp, and then a redstone comparator going directly into 2 blocks right here. In order to make this brewing stand sort of work, we need to lock this bottom hopper until the item has a chance to go into the brewing stand. So we'll have a solid block and a redstone torch here. And how we will activate that is we will have a downward facing sticky piston with an observer facing directly inwards, right like that. And then you can break the first observer. That wasn't there. That was just me placing as a temporary block. Now we're also going to have 1 more of these sticky pistons, and we'll have 1 right here with an observer facing directly inward. I'll go into a solid block with a repeater right here, and this repeater is going to be on 2 ticks. So we'll have a solid block here, a solid block here, a repeater on 4 ticks right here, with a bit of redstone dust. That will activate both of those sticky pistons, and then we're going to come back another 4 blocks, right like that. We'll have a bit of redstone dust. We'll have repeaters, 4 repeaters, each of these on 4 ticks, just like this. And then we will have, just going to break some of our scaffolding. I'll have a solid block right here. I'll come all the way back around. Redstone dust. We'll have 2 more repeaters right here. Both of these on 4 ticks. That'll go into a solid block, and that will complete this loop, and this comparator needs to be on subtract mode. Now that is it for our potion sorter, but we now have our redstone lamp in place, and we can finally finish the Trident sorter. So the Trident sorter has a redstone lamp that lights up anytime a Trident is here ready for the player to come pick up and to come place in their barrel that is going to be right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come directly below where this button is, and then we're going to come from this bottom dropper. We're going to have a solid block, and then right here is where we're going to have our comparator. This comparator right here is going to be activating a sticky piston with a redstone block. That redstone block is going to power another sticky piston right here with another redstone block. And then this redstone block is going to power a normal piston facing into an immovable object, so obsidian. And then we'll have redstone torch tower going all the way up. So we'll have 2 torches like this. We'll have 1 torch going in, and then 1 more torch going directly inwards. And then we will have block come down. So right here, we'll have a repeater on 1 tick, solid block, and then we will have 1 more repeater. And just like that, anytime this item right here gets taken and put into this bottom dropper, which happens anytime a Trident is fired, it will light up the lamp, and then anytime you pick it up and then press the button, that will reset it, and that lamp will turn off. So now that we have finished the Trident sorter, we are now going to work on the item elevator that will take all our items to our bucket sorter. So we need to first get our item elevator in place. So whenever the items are dispensed, we need a block here, glass or solid, it doesn't matter, just to make sure the items go into this hopper. And then we are going to need to put in some more droppers. So we're going to have 3 droppers facing straight up. Then we're going to have a double chest right over here to the side with a hopper going straight into this double chest. Now I'm going to place 2 temporary blocks right here with a downward facing sticky piston with an observer facing forward. And then I'm also going to need to grab our dispensers, and I'm going to place in 2 dispensers, one right here and then one diagonal right there. Now I'm going to have a hopper going into the first dispenser, and then from this dispenser another hopper going into the second dispenser. Now the second dispenser is going to have a hopper line going straight down into our first chest, and then I'm going to have another hopper line going into these 2 chests here. And then you can either have a barrel or a dropper, it doesn't matter which. And then we would have a hopper line going into that dropper. And this will allow us to have 3 different options for our powder snow, lava, and water buckets for the 3 different, types of buckets that we are trying to sort. So next we are going to place in a bunch of blocks. We're going to have 1 block here, skip a block, 1 block here, 1 block here. So we're making a bit of a hive shape. And then we're going to come right underneath, and we're going to place 3 more blocks right here. You can break the center temporary one. So it makes a bit of a shape like this. Then we're going to have a comparator here. We are going to have a dropper facing sideways here with a hopper. In this dropper, we're going to have a random junk item you don't care about. Then we will have a repeater here on 3 ticks. And then coming over here, we will have a repeater on 4 ticks. This repeater on 4 ticks is going to go straight into a block. Coming down 1 more block, we're going to have a bit of redstone dust. We will have an upward facing sticky piston right there. And on top of this sticky piston, we are going to have a redstone block. We are also going to have a repeater right here on 1 tick, solid block here, and a bit of redstone dust. Then we're going to come all the way to our front area. We're going to place a glass or whatever block you want. It doesn't matter. Then we're going to have 2 signs. We're going to have 1 sign here and 1 sign here. This is going to allow the water to flow to where we're going to have an observer right here. And this observer is going to detect the water flowing. So we'll come down 1 observer, over 1 observer, we'll come down 1 more, and then right here we'll have a repeater on 4 ticks. Then coming up 1 block, we'll place a temporary block with a sticky piston facing straight down, and then also on that sticky piston, we'll have a redstone block. Next we're going to come all the way back around to the beginning, and then on the other side of this dispenser, we are going to have an observer facing out right here. Then coming around to the back side, we're going to have an observer facing in. We're going to have a movable object like obsidian. Then we're going to have a piston facing in right there with a torch right on the side of that piston. So with the torch right on the side of that piston, then we're going to have a repeater here on 2 ticks going into a solid block. And then we're going to have a glass block right here with a redstone dust coming up on a solid block right here. And then we are going to have a repeater here on 1 tick going into a solid block. Then we're going to grab a comparator, and we're going to have a comparator going from the very first dispenser going into a solid block. We'll have a piston, sticky piston right here with an observer facing sideways or in. So this will be powering the dispenser when it gets pushed forward. And then on the other side, we are going to have a solid block with a redstone repeater on 1 tick. We'll have a solid block, a redstone torch, and then another repeater on 2 ticks. And coming around to the other side, we will have a sticky piston. And then we are also going to grab our normal piston, and that normal piston is going to be facing straight down, just like that. We'll have a redstone torch right on top, solid block, and then we'll have a redstone repeater on 4 ticks. Now the next couple blocks, I'm going to be using some glass blocks here. These don't need to be glass blocks, but it's kind of nice being able to see inside the redstone system. And we're going to have a repeater here on 3 ticks going into a solid block, and then we're going to have 2 solid blocks here, a glass block. You can have either glass or solid for these 2 blocks, and then another solid block. Then we're going to have redstone dust traveling all the way across. Repeater here on 2 ticks. On the other side of this, we're going to have a solid block, glass block, and redstone dust. Coming over to here, we're going to have a sticky piston facing down with a solid block. And then coming around to the other side, we're going to have redstone torch, a repeater here on 4 ticks, solid block, and then we're going to have another solid block with the redstone dust. And just in case something's wrong with our redstone, I would go ahead and recommend to put a block right here. That way, if a water bucket gets dispensed, the water doesn't end up flooding our redstone, and then we have to start over from scratch. So the bucket sorter redstone is in place, but we do need a help to make sure if any of these other items, for example boats, come into the system, they could either land on this chest, or right down the center, and we need to make sure all those items end up in the same place, which is an item elevator. So what we're going to do is once I grab all these items and make my way all the way up around, we are going to come all the way to this very bottom, and we're going to have some droppers, 6 droppers, coming all the way straight up till they are level with the bottom of this piston, and then we'll have a dispenser facing sideways. Then coming all the way down here at the bottom, we'll break the temporary block, have 2 hoppers coming straight out, and then 4 more right like this. And then we're going to have a chest on either side. This will make sure that whenever the fishies fall through, they are going to be trapped, and if we had solid blocks here, the fishies could end up getting caught on the edge of the chest. So we need to use chest, that way it's a smoother surface all the way down. Now coming over to the left, we're going to make this a double chest. We're going to have a hopper going straight down in it. We will have a downward facing dropper. It could be a barrel too, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to have a hopper facing the side. And then we're going to have 4 hoppers coming in down this side. And that will make it that no matter whether the item goes here, center, or to the right, all the items will make it somewhere in the item elevator, whether at the top or bottom. Then finally, to finish up the fish chamber, we're going to have a slab here so the fishes don't get caught in the hopper. We're going to have 3 polished walls. These can be any type of walls, but the walls are nice because most fish that aren't babies can't swim through. And then this way we can actually reach in and, actually get the fishes out very easily. If you want, you could replace the wall with trapdoors. Both would do the exact same. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a sign connected to this hopper, and then we're going to have 5 of these trapdoors. These don't have to be trapdoors. If you really want, they can be glass blocks, but trapdoors give you nice access in case something goes wrong, and it also kind of lets you see what's going on inside. Now what's good to do at this point is to grab some powder snow, throw it in this top hopper, and just to make sure that the powder snow gets sorted out to the side and into this chest. And I would also do the same with lava to make sure the lava ends up in the chest right over here. So there's the lava. And if you throw in water, the water should do the exact same, except, of course, flow into its final chest over here. And if all those 3 buckets sort in the right place, then that means you have done the redstone correctly. Now we're going to work on our minecart and boat sorter. So we're going to have a dropper facing in right here. And then we're going to have a solid block right here with a repeater here on 3 ticks. And then we're going to have 1 more dropper here with 2 hoppers going in directly like that. 1 hopper going directly into the chest with 1 going into that hopper. And then here we're going to have a minecart rail. And then we're going to have some sand and a cactus. Now this cactus we are using to destroy both the boats and the minecarts. So this cactus is very crucial. Now, if your orientation is causing your rail to turn one direction or the other, just put an extra rail right here, redirect it, and then break it, and that should make it so that the rail is always facing towards the cactus. Now, before we do too much more, we're going to come around to the backside and hook up this item elevator. So we are going to put a redstone torch here with an observer and dropper chain coming all the way over here. And then we're going to have a redstone torch and then observer coming up, redstone torch, observer coming up, all the way up here. And then we're going to have observers going from there right to the droppers to make a nice and simple item elevator coming all the way up here to the top. Then from here, we're going to have a double chest right here with a hopper chain going directly into that. We're going to have some glass blocks going up. These don't need to be glass blocks, but you do need to have solid blocks here. And then you also need a solid block here just to direct the minecarts into the proper chamber. And then glass blocks I am just using just so we can see what's going on a little bit better. And then I'm just going to leave this entire wall empty for now because that's going to get covered up very shortly. Then from this double chest, we are going to come down 1 hopper. We're going to have a dispenser right here. We're going to have 2 hoppers right here. So 1, 2, and then 1 going into that upward facing one. And then we're going to have a solid block right here with 2 walls. And then coming straight down, we are going to have a temporary block with an upward facing dropper right there. And then we're going to have 2 hoppers going directly into that dropper right like that. Then coming all the way up, we are going to have a water source at this top one. Make sure that there is no water source right there and that there's only a water source on this top block. That will make sure that all other items go down. And then we're going to have a dropper elevator coming all the way up to right about here. Then we're going to come all the way down here to the bottom, and we're going to have a hopper going in with a jukebox. And then over to the side, we're going to have a hopper going into the jukebox. And then any items that can't go in the jukebox that aren't records are going to come all the way over here to the side and are going to end up into this chest right there. Then we will have a hopper going straight down with the double chest right here. Then we're going to have a comparator here on subtract mode with a solid block and a temporary block. We're going to have a piston facing straight down with an immovable object like obsidian. We're going to have 2 bits of redstone torches right there. We're going to have a glass block. And then right here, we're going to have a bit of redstone dust. Now, from this torch, we're going to have 2 observers. those are going to go straight into a solid block, and then we're going to have a downward facing piston, and then we're going to have an immovable object like obsidian, and then we'll have redstone dust, and then on top, attached to this piston right here, we're going to have a redstone torch. Next, we're going to have a solid block here with a comparator. That comparator is going to be going into a sticky piston facing straight down with an observer. This observer is going to have a solid block with a redstone torch down here. Then we're going to have an observer coming down into a dropper. Another observer, solid block. We'll have a dropper here with another observer, and another observer coming straight up, just like that. Now, I know we've been a bit observer crazy recently, but we have just a couple more left. So if we just come right to this dropper, we have one more observer here with a dropper observer going up. We'll have a redstone torch. We'll have another observer going up, redstone torch, and then from here we're going to have two more droppers coming straight up, hopper going into that dropper, and then we're going to have a hopper going straight down with a double chest attached right on top of that with two hoppers just like that. And well, that is how you make an impossible item sorter. Now, if you want to get even further along with this, then again, I would recommend making my armor and tools sorter here, which is semi-automatic. You just simply have to stand here and place armor stands. And if you're really crazy enough that you need your own record sorter, then well, here is a record sorter tutorial. But anyhow, this has been Rocketbuilder. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.